The House will come to order. Today, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Representative Camacho, House District 6.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Shebel, please call the roll. Mr. Shebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Armagost, Bacon, Barone, Byrd, Representative Byrd,
Excused.
Basenecker, Rep. Basenecker,
Excused.
Bottoms, Representative Bottoms,
Excused.
Bradfield, Bradley, Brooks, Brown, Caldwell, Camacho, Carter, Representative Carter,
Excused.
Clifford, DeGraff, Duran, English, Representative English,
Excused.
Espinoza, Foray, Froelich, Rep. Froelich,
Excused.
Garcia, Garcia Sander, Gilchrist, Gonzalez, Hamrick, Representative Hamrick,
Excused.
Hartsook, Jackson, Johnson, Joseph. Hey. Rep. Joseph is here. Kelty, Leader,
Here.
Lindsay, Lindstead, Luck,
Here.
Lukens, Mabry, Representative Mabry. Mabry's excused. Marshall, Martinez, Morrow, Representative Morrow. Morrow's excused. McCormick, Pascal, Phillips, Puglisi, Richardson, Ricks,
Present.
Rutinell, Ryden, Representative Ryden, Sirota, Smith, Soper, Representative Soper. Soper is excused. Stuart K. Stuart R. Story. Representative Story. Story is excused. Sukla. Taggart. Titone. Valdez A. Velasco. Weinberg. Wilford. Winter. Woodrow is excused. Woog. Zokai. And Madam Speaker.
With 56 present, 9 excused, we do have a quorum. Representative Camacho. Whoop, whoop.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. It is a pleasure to serve with you.
It is a pleasure to serve with you.
And good morning, colleagues. So yesterday, I started my one-day tradition of giving everyone a horrible dad joke. And I've inspired so many people across this community that my aide also wanted to submit a dad joke. So he fashions himself quite the author of these things. And my aide, Henry Standard, had written this one. What do you call a lobster involved in organized crime? Allegedly, you call them a mobster. Yes. Yes. Keep those nays up. All right. Madam Speaker, I move the Journal of Monday, February 3rd, 2025 to be approved, corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you've heard the motion that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor of no more dad jokes, say aye. All those opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Members, we are moving into business. I will ask you to take your seats. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions.
Members, we are beginning our work. Please take your seats. Thank you. Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for consideration of resolution. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title, the Senate Joint Resolution 005.
Senate Joint Resolution 5 by Senators Danielson and Catlin, also Representatives Duran and Puglisi, concerning the designation of February 4th as Missing Persons Day in Colorado.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, we put this resolution forward to remember all those who have gone missing. As stated in the resolution, every 40 seconds, someone goes missing in America. According to the CBI, as of last summer, there were more than 1,000 reported people missing in Colorado. And according to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, as of December 2024, there were more than 25,000 missing cases still open. This is incredibly troubling. Today and every day is a day to remember everyone who has gone missing and the loved ones and family members who have been impacted. Even though we go about our daily lives and face our own hardships, there are many people who will never get the comfort and answers they deserve, knowing one of their loved ones might never show up again. They live with the hope that one day they get the phone call that their loved one is found. I respect and honor their courage of all the people who are here today in this chamber and who have had loved ones gone missing. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation website has some great resources if you know someone who has gone missing, or you can also contact the Victim Assistance Unit at 303-239-4649. I will always continue to support those who have been affected. I want to thank all of you who are joining us here today on this important day. Thank you. Madam Speaker,
Madam Majority Leader.
I'd like to move the resolution, Senate Joint Resolution 005.
That is a proper motion. Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We ask that the resolution be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel, would you please read our resolution?
Whereas each year, hundreds of thousands of families are faced with what former President Ronald Reagan called the stark terror of a unique tragedy, a missing family member. And whereas every 40 seconds, someone goes missing in the United States, approximately 2,300 Americans are reported missing every day, and there are as many as 90,000 active missing person cases in the United States at any given time. And whereas, as of January 1st, 2025, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported 93,741 active missing person cases in the United States, with a large portion being juveniles under the age of 21. 1,196 of those were reported missing from Colorado. And whereas children and adults go missing from their families for a number of reasons. They run away or wander and become lost. They disappear under circumstances indicating that their disappearance may not have been voluntary, or they go missing under suspicious circumstances, indicating that they may be in physical danger or the victims of foul play. And whereas in 2002, then Colorado Governor Bill Owens signed House Bill 1083, establishing the Amber Alert program in Colorado, named after 9-year-old Amber Hagerman, who was abducted and killed in Texas in 1996. The program ensures that local law enforcement agencies can use Colorado's emergency alert system to broadcast information to alert citizens of missing children. And whereas since 1996, Amber Alerts have successfully recovered 1,221 children. And whereas in 2022, Senate Bill 150 was signed, establishing a statewide missing Indigenous persons alert, making Colorado only the third state nationally to implement this protection for Indigenous people. The MIPA is now the second most utilized alert in the state. And whereas, for all the important work done to recover missing children, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported on its website in 2024 that 29,568 missing child reports were made to law enforcement in 2024. And the organization lists 53 missing Coloradan children from every area of the state. Though all 53 disappeared from their families when they were children, some have been missing for decades. And whereas, while too many families grieve and hope for their missing children, others are in search of their missing family members of all ages. And whereas, the awareness of citizens, media, and law enforcement, as well as their support, their efforts, and their search for missing persons must continue. And whereas the public plays a critical role in the success of the Amber and all other alert programs, as they become the eyes and ears of law enforcement and can be on the lookout for the missing person. And whereas the common misconception that a person must be absent for at least 24 hours before being legally classified as missing is dangerous. When there is evidence of violence or of an unusual absence, it is critical that an investigation begin promptly. And whereas new advances in technology must be utilized and made available to locate the missing. And whereas the state of Colorado is committed to the safety and well-being of its citizens, both children and adults. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado will firmly embed the importance of missing persons and their families and friends in our state calendar, and will raise a level of awareness with other cities and states that have already designated a Missing Persons Day. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado offers a platform to plan events that will connect families with resources to help identify and find their long-term missing loved ones. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado will ensure that the families and friends of the missing know that they are not alone in this tragedy of uncertainties and lack of closure, which leads to extreme suffering and long-term lasting effects on the health, finances, and relationships of those left behind. And whereas every missing person is someone's son or daughter, father or mother, brother or sister, partner or friend, and every missing person deserves to be searched for and found. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 75th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the General Assembly, recognize the epidemic of the missing in America as the silent mass disaster and empathize with the ongoing suffering of the families and friends of those who are missing. That we recognize the importance of raising awareness of the number of people who go missing in Colorado each year. That we applaud the committed efforts of families, law enforcement agencies, and concerned citizens who work to locate missing persons. That we encourage the continued support of worthy initiatives and private and public programs to increase efforts to locate missing persons, and that we hereby designate February 4th of each year as Missing Persons Day and support the goals and ideals of the day.
Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to all of you for standing today. My very first year here at the legislature, the Majority Leader asked me to be on this resolution, and we've continued that tradition because of our dedication together with all of you to help protect children and families in Colorado. I want to thank all of the people who are here today. I know that our hearts break for you and for your families. We are continuing to make sure that we are here for you in any way that you all need, and our hearts really, truly do go out to you. In my household, we have a tradition that every time my kids get an Amber Alert or I get an Amber Alert on our phones, we stop and pray for the safe and quick return of the child. And so I hope that we can continue to raise awareness through this resolution and the work that we are all doing here at the Capitol to help find these missing children and return them very quickly to their families. So thank you so much for this resolution. Thank you to the Majority Leader for including me on it. And we'll ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 005. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Members participating remotely, please turn on your screens if you can. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Luck votes yes. Representative Leader, how do you vote? Representative Leader, you are on mute.
Oh, I thought it came off. Yes.
Representative Leader votes yes. Please close the machine. With 62 ayes, 0 no, and 3 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 005 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Ricks, Luck, co-sponsor. Representative Leader, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for consideration of third reading of bills.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for third reading of bills. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1025.
House Bill 1025 by Representative Ferre, also Senator Hawkes Lewis, concerning the state stockpile of essential materials and in connection therewith broadening the circumstances in which distribution from the stockpiles are allowed.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1025 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1025 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Luck votes no. Representative Leader, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Leader votes yes. Please close the machine. With 44 aye, 18 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1025 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1075.
House Bill 1075 by Representatives Garcia, Sander, and Phillips, also Senators Kirkmeyer and Mullica, concerning regulation of speech-language pathology assistance.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1075 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1075 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Luck votes no. Representative Leader, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Leader votes yes. Please close the machine. With 57 aye, 5 no, 3 excused, House Bill 1075 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1006.
House Bill 1006 by Representatives Lukens and Hartsook, also Senator Bridges, concerning allowing a school district to lease district property for any term of years.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1006 on third reading and final passage.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1006 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
No. No.
Representative Luck votes no. Representative Leader, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Leader votes yes. Please close the machine. With 50 aye, 12 no, and 3 excused, House Bill 1006 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Ricks, co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that the following two bills be added to the special orders calendar on February 4th, 2025 at 9:25 a.m. House Bill 1091 and House Bill 1070.
Seeing no objection, the bills listed by the Majority Leader will be added to the special orders calendar on February 4th, 2025 at 9:25 a.m. Representative Brown. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Brown will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon the motion of the Majority Leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over consideration of House Bill 1030 until after House Bill 1091.
Without objection, House Bill 1030 will be laid over until after 1091. Bam. Bam. There you go. Okay. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1091.
House Bill 1091 by Representative Phillips, also Senator Mullica, concerning the designation of the Agaricus julius mushroom as the state mushroom.
Representative Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
I move House Bill 1091.
To the bill. Representative Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill identifies the Agaricus julius mushroom, formerly known as Prince, as the state mushroom of Colorado. It's not magic, but the committee hearing was. We had high school students, teachers, and mycologists testifying, including a scientist who appropriately dressed as a mushroom. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Bottoms.
Do you mind if I join you? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't get to get up here and say positive things very often, so I'm going to take my opportunity. This was a fun bill in committee. A science class at a high school basically decided to do this. Representative decided to do this. and then they argued for it, and it was very educational. I don't necessarily know why we need a state mushroom, but they convinced me. And so I also urge an aye vote.
Further discussion, Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, and I understand that this might have been addressed in committee, but my biggest concern with with this, big fan of mushrooms, and I know my colleague is a big fan of mushrooms, but not that. What assurances do we have that this is not going to turn into a land grab where now any place that you find this mushroom cannot be developed, or the mushroom can't be harvested? It becomes, you know, as it is a state identified, then it becomes state protected. So what protections does Colorado have in this regard that they should not be afraid if this mushroom pops up in their yard that all of a sudden they are going to be the site of some new group of eco-terrorists making them move out of their property?
Representative Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's a different bill, and I ask for an aye vote on this one.
Thank you. Seeing no, Representative DeGraff.
Okay, my confusion. I thought we were talking about making the mushroom a state mushroom here. What bill are you talking about?
Representative Phillips.
I ask for an aye vote on the bill.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1091. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1091 is passed. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1030.
Yes, I may.
House Bill 1030 by Representative Joseph, also Senators Cutter and Winter, concerning the requirement that certain building codes have accessibility standards that are at least as stringent as international building codes.
Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Second time is a charm. I move House Bill 1030 and the House Committee of Reference report for the House Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee.
To the committee report, Representative Stewart, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L002 to the House Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report.
All right.
And ask that it be displayed properly.
Thank you. Give us a moment to display it. So it is properly displayed. Please proceed. Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular amendment has been added in order to address a couple of concerns that we heard in our House Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee. This amendment does a couple of really important things. First, it defines better what a substantial update is, and it also clarifies that the international building codes that are talked about in this particular bill really only apply to multifamily and commercial and not to single-family homes. And then third, it clarifies that codes cannot provide less protection than the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I ask for an aye vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Right, a good bill. I appreciate the exemptions, but I'm still wondering why we need the IBC code in general. So, but as far as the exemptions go, exempting anything from this bill, I think would be a good idea.
Representative Richardson.
Again, in committee, I was not in support of this bill. It does need some changes. This amendment does make it better. It carves out some of the housing stock in the state. Still have some concerns. I still think it can be made better with perhaps amendments once we get to the bill, but I do support this one change. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion on L002, the question before us is the passage of L002. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L002 passes. To the committee report. Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request an aye vote on the committee report.
Seeing no further discussion on the committee report, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is passed. To the bill. Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this bill does a couple of things, but most importantly, it just ensures that when substantial code updates are undertaken by municipalities and local governments, that we are making sure that we are aligning our accessibility standards to ensure that folks in the disability community can have equal access to the spaces that all of us occupy, and I urge an aye vote.
Further discussion on the bill. Representative Sukla.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I have an amendment.
Please move your amendment and ask that it be properly
I move L004 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Thank you, Representative Sukla. Give us a moment.
Well, when I first got up here,
Oh, hang on just a second. Okay, it is properly displayed. Representative Sukla.
sorry, I'm an auctioneer. We're used to going fast. When I first got up here, this is what they told me. They said, you better be careful of what you say because they listen to everything you say up here. So I hope that advice that they gave me is true as I'm talking here right now. This amendment has to do, this bill has to do with two things. This bill has to do with handicap accessible, and it has to do with affordable housing. There is not one person in this room that doesn't care about being handicap accessible and care about affordable housing. My bill has to do with the affordable housing part. Right now, you can see those kids along that road right there. They can't afford a house where we live. You can look back there at them lobbyists. Actually, I used the wrong example. They're working on their third home. My point is this. I own a real estate company, and today, we're all working on it in the future. There is no such thing as affordable housing in Colorado. Again, let me repeat it. There is no such thing as affordable housing in Colorado. We all are working, and we want to do something about it. And I'm going to tell you an idea that this bill has to do that will get us on a start so that those kids have a place to live when they go to work. And that is in Montezuma County, to get a building permit and to go through the land use code, it costs $2,300. That's in my house district 58 on the western slope. And in 1 month, you can stick your shovel in the dirt and you can start digging. In the other opposite side of my house district 58 is Gunnison County. To do the exact same thing in Gunnison County, it costs $120,000. It's staring us right in the face. I can save them $118,000 in Gunnison County just by them adopting our land use codes in Montezuma County. Just like that, $118,000.
Representative Sukla, I appreciate your debate here. Let's make sure that we're discussing the specific provisions of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you care about affordable housing, do not put international building codes on us on the Western Slope. They hired me for one reason on the Western Slope, and that was to be the voice of the Western Slope. What you do here in Denver sometimes doesn't work for us, and what we do on the Western Slope doesn't sometimes work for you. Give me one win here and vote for my amendment. Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do rise to support this amendment. As my colleague stated, everybody wants our buildings to be accessible to everybody regardless of their ability. We also want to be able to provide homes that people can afford to live in. I think this amendment takes a step forward in assuring that those accessibility standards are in place for commercial buildings and allows us to come back later and look at how they might best apply to housing stock. A few years back, this body passed a bill that required energy efficiency standards. Everybody wants to see energy efficiency. The outcome of that is about an additional 40% in wiring a new home. We need to slow down. We need to make sure that we understand the impacts of every bill that we pass on the things that are important to us. If affordable housing is important to us, we need to make sure that we understand the impacts on the affordability of a home before we pass a bill. I think this gets the cart a little bit farther ahead of the horse than we need to be. Carving housing stock out of this bill does allow us to address issues in more public and commercial buildings. So I do urge support of this amendment.
Representative Barone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also come up here in support of this amendment. Many municipalities are already implementing the 2024 International Building Codes, including mine. Adams County, Weld County already implemented these building codes. I just don't believe that we should be forcing these municipalities to do so when they change their building codes. This amendment also helps with affordable housing. I agree with my colleagues here. Affordable housing is a problem in Weld County as well, Adams County as well, all over Colorado, to be honest. Some places more than others, but this amendment helps alleviate that for a lot of people that are trying to afford their first home, and this will help out a lot. I urge and I vote. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do also support this amendment, not just because my colleague is a snappy dresser, but I think we need to have some sanity here. We need to have some, the IBC building code is fine, but if you've been to Europe, they have different construction methods. They have different wiring. They have different plumbing. There's a lot of differences. So what this bill does is it adds a lot more cost, and we're already at $25,000 for building a new home, or $120,000 just for the opportunity to buy one. So I'm curious. And what I haven't heard is from the sponsor is who brought this bill forward? Why was it brought forward? Because this will add costs. Now, a lot of places already use the IBC. Where it makes sense, they take that idea, they incorporate it in to our own building code, and then they do that. So I recognize that this is about accessibility standards, but the other part of this bill is just mission creep. Mission creep is where it just starts to take more and more and more. And then next year, it's a little bit more of the IBC standards, maybe for wiring, maybe for plumbing. We don't need this. We don't need this bill. So I support this amendment just in that it at least introduces some sanity into the bill. So I recommend an aye vote on the amendment and a no vote on the bill.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Folks, you're being asked to vote on this amendment that takes housing out of the bill. And as we learned in committee, if there's a bigger need for accessibility, it's probably in housing. And yes, there is an affordability crisis. How would you like to be searching for an accessible unit during this housing crisis? And this is future. So this is planning. Let's plan for accessible units in the future when your municipality redoes their code. Let's have GASP, a couple units with wider doorways and accessibility, ramps, etc. So I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I represent the southwest corner of the Western Slope, and I just wanted to share that I have a disability that impedes my mobility, and I am a big fan of accessibility. So those of us on the Western Slope, we have disabilities too. And I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Representative Sukla.
So I got the numbers on new construction. And the numbers are, if you build a house to be for handicap accessibility, you add $30,000 to the price of that home. $30,000 to the price of that home if you have that for accessibility. The bathrooms for handicap accessible have to be twice the size as a regular house. So now what you did is you just increased the footprint or the size of that house, and you made it even more expensive. I encourage you to vote yes on this bill.
Further discussion, Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, we just did have a bill that we had to clean up that had to do with the unintended consequences of the backflow prevention. So we have a lot of expertise. I still don't understand why this was brought forward. My wife uses a wheelchair. We like handicap accessible. We might have to modify some walls, but adding to the price of every single home for $30,000 is pretty significant. There are reasons at times that building a little bit above grade is important. And it's now in order to have a roll through into the garage perhaps. But you might not want to have a roll through into the garage because of moisture getting into the house. So there's a lot of considerations, and the IBC doesn't necessarily talk about those. We don't know. What this is the bill is writing a blank check on something that we haven't seen yet. It's committing us to something that is unknown. So the amendment said that it was not about housing, but then then we're told that this is looking forward to housing to make sure that all the doors and stuff. Now, so the way you handle this is you can allow the market to do it. And the way you make housing affordable is you bring down the prices of energy, you bring down the cost of permitting, you bring down the cost of all this other bureaucracy and fees that have been added into the housing. You don't make it more complex to make. It would be great if all houses were met those standards, but what standards do you meet? Somebody in a wheelchair? Somebody with crutches? There's lots of things to consider. And when you're looking at painting with a broad brush and then saying that all houses have to have this, then you are pricing people out of the market. So if you want a robust economy, start winding back with your good intentions. Start dialing back the good intentions. Allow for more houses to be made. If there's a market for it, and there is a market for it, there's a big market for it because a lot of builders are already looking and saying, well, if I want to be able to move my home to somebody who has physical limitations, I would probably want to put in a 30-inch door. I mean, when I built a shower, I put in a 30-inch door so it's handicap accessible. Just because that creates a more marketable house. So the market can take care of this. When you start putting these requirements on it, you start doing a one-size-fits-all. Tell all the builders that they have to do this. You might have a lot that is on a steep slope. Now you need to have the garage at a different elevation. It's probably going to be difficult to make that handicap accessible. But if you require it to be handicap accessible, or you require a building, then you create a problem. So let's not have another bill where we have to come back and fix it because we're so blinded by our good intentions that we just think that everybody else is out to get, like there's some conspiracy against people that have physical limitations. They don't. But there are balancing reasons to do certain things. A developer who is developing a neighborhood would be incentivized naturally by the market to make certain houses more accessible. Maybe not all, but certainly where they can make it more accessible, they increase their marketability. But they have to weigh that. So if you want to fix the problem starts in this room, not by imposing more rules and regulations on the people and builders of Colorado who are trying, because in a competitive market you actually have to make things affordable, and you have to make it make sense. So the market can figure this out. The market will figure this out. What I can guarantee is this room won't figure it out. There is no problem the government can't make worse with a solution, and this is a perfect example.
Further discussion, Representative Kelty.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I know who's behind part of this, this push. I actually met with the gentleman, and what he said to me was that he wanted to allow every person in Colorado to be able to roll up or go up to someone's house and say hello. To me, that's not a reason to put forth something that is going to cost the Coloradan people tens of thousands and thousands of dollars. He thought that this was only going to cost $5,000. It's not. It's going to actually cost anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 per home. You want affordable housing, but yet you push policies that prevent us from having affordable housing. So you have to choose affordable housing or not. And right now it's a crisis, and I really hope that everyone thinks about how you're gonna vote, and whether you are or are not for affordable housing.
Representative Bacon, or Assistant Majority Leader Bacon, excuse me.
Thank you, members. And I'm up here for a colleague of ours. And if you did not know or remember him, I'm recalling a colleague of ours from Arapahoe County, Littleton, Representative Ortiz. And I just want to point out a few things that's been said here that since he's not here to say, I want to say for him because he would consistently say the same things. We have been told that we are challenging affordable housing, but it feels like we're having this conversation outside of the context of what is affordable for people in wheelchairs. And thank you for sharing with us how much it costs. An extra $30,000. Thank you for sharing with us how much wider a bathroom has to be. Because that is true. If Representative Ortiz is here, I'm sure he would say, I think we should require that at least 1 out of 100 units be made for those in wheelchairs, because this market is not affordable for me, because we do have specs that are different that we have to pay for above and beyond standard market. Then I'd also like to remind people of who we are talking about that are in need of accessible housing. And he would talk about all of his brethren, all of the veterans who've come home, who might not be able to see, who technology has advanced to be able to provide different alarms when there's fire, whose hearing may have been lost and technology would have advanced to provide different alarms when there's carbon monoxide, whose mobility may have been lost so they need the extra 30 feet in the bathroom. And so to ask developers and home builders, none of whom oppose this bill, to think about people with their mobility needs, many of whom are the veterans we always want to support, and then to make an argument that no one cares about affordable housing. And maybe that's not the argument, because I don't want to go so far as to push buttons there. But I think we have to be mindful when we're talking about costs and realize there are very real people who have to make those costs and who are doing nothing but asking to survive in their homes. And particularly people who have given up everything so that all of us could survive in their homes. This is not that big of an ask. And so with that, I would again ask that we vote no on the amendment and actually step into, if you can, to the situations, feet, shoes, chairs, canes, mobility devices, auditory, visual devices that people need to survive, and do this one thing for them. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion. Oh, Representative Woog.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do believe we all care dearly about this, and I am going to agree with my colleagues on my side of the aisle that this is a major affordability issue. I think about my time as a residential property manager, and I just consider my homeowners and that have very, very small margins in this industry. And to think that there will be requirements that are going to be very significant for them, very significant, that hits their pocketbook hard. We talk about affordable housing, but what's going to happen is these rental units, for instance, they're going to have to increase their rent. And God forbid, if this legislature finds a way to institute rent control, then we're really in trouble. We're going to have no more real estate investment in the state. It's already a struggle. So I really am concerned for people that rent, that this only increases our rent. So, you know what, I really feel we need to support this amendment because with this bill, we're seeing control from Denver. And I'm looking for my community to have the right to do what they need. My representative from Fort Lupton already mentioned this. So many municipalities are already instituting these rules. They want this type of housing to fit the need of their communities. So I think we need to stick with that. Please vote yes on this amendment.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, this is, a reason that there's a lack of affordable housing for people that we all care about. I would love for everything to be affordable. We're rolling up to a house would be great. It doesn't always make sense with the snow issues. It adds, as we've heard, somewhere between 10 and 20,000 or 30,000 per unit. Now, that would explain why there's no affordable housing for handicap accessible, that it costs an extra $30,000 to do. Now, medical devices, if you look at those, a wheelchair costs, $10,000, a brace costs, $10,000 or $12,000. It's a very expensive space. What we have here is an unfunded mandate for more good intentions. If we want to mandate this, and we want then the state should be having a budget discussion and saying this is how we're going to support it. We should be having that conversation about how much this costs, not forcing developers out of business, because when you force developers out of business because you force them into a place where they exceed their margin, because most people can't afford the additional $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on the house that has already been inflated while their wages are decreased by the Inflation Reduction Act, and then the higher energy cost that goes with it. The problem for affordable housing begins in this room, begins with the ideologies in this room, begins with the detachment from reality in this room. So this is an unfunded mandate. This is going against local control. This is the state once again saying the state is going to step in, and the state did it last year with transportation-oriented housing, said we are going to rezone Colorado by fiat, by declaration from
Representative
Denver.
DeGraff, I appreciate your comments here, but we're talking about this specific amendment at this particular point. So please keep your comments to this specific amendment.
So we're talking about making these things more with the businesses, making them more accessible, but we have the same issues. The local control can take care of this, and we're also hearing that the acknowledgement that this bill has envisioned downstream from here, that it has envisioned housing units. So this all goes together. This is all mission creep. We need to vote for this amendment to limit the bill, but ultimately we need to not pass the bill unless we are going to fund the bill.
Representative Barone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just come up here again to reiterate. I was a yes vote in committee on this, with the exception of amendments coming up. This is one of those amendments. This is the amendment that I approved, that I wanted. Just like my colleagues that came before me said, local control is really important. My municipality already implements this. Local control knows better what's better for their community. If we see the need at the municipality level for accessibility of our citizens, we implement it. That's what we have done in Fort Lupton. I've seen it implemented in Brighton as well, which is my district. I do not believe we should mandate this at the state level. The attack on local control is big, and it should stay at local. This amendment here really helps. It helps local control mandate what they need for their housing. So I urge again, an aye vote on this amendment, which will help me make a better decision on this bill completely. Thank you.
Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you just read the amendment, it does two things. It takes out two words. The first word that it takes out is if there is a substantial change to the land use code or the building codes in the county, then they would go to automatic international building codes. Nobody can explain to me what the word substantial means. That is going to be used at the discretion of whoever is in charge. And then the second thing that it takes out is multi-dwellings. That's it.
Representative Sukla, I think you might be on a different amendment. I don't know that you're speaking specifically to this amendment.
I'm on the, yes, that's.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then the second thing is multi-dwellings. Well, what is multi-dwellings? Is that an HOA? What is multi-dwellings? I'm taking out two words that are meaningful. I urge you to vote yes on this amendment.
All right, Representative Stewart.
Thank you so much. Many of the concerns that were raised have actually already been addressed in the amendment that we offered earlier, so I would urge a no vote on this particular amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of L004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it. L004 is lost. To the bill. Representative Stewart. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative DeGraff.
Local control, affordable housing. This is a violation of local control. This makes affordable housing even more difficult. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. We want to make affordable housing, and you're doing your darndest to make housing unaffordable. We already know that it costs an additional $25,000 for the codes that have been imposed. Codes, fees, or $120,000, depending on where you live. Now we want to impose even more. That may or may not be useful, not because we're opposed. I think a lot of people would adopt these on their own for various reasons. Mandating them, creating the mission creep, putting the foot in the door for ever more requirements and zoning from Denver. What this bill says to the counties of Colorado is we do not trust you. Big government knows best. You local yokels don't know what you're talking about. So Big Brother is going to come and put his arm around you, or Big Nanny State is going to come and put your arm around you and make sure that you do things right, because we don't trust you to take care of your people. That's exactly what this bill is. This is a nanny state overreach, continual overreach, adding costs. And then your solution is to add more costs. So stop with the ideas that you're creating affordable housing. What you're doing is you're pricing all the kids that were along the wall out of housing. You're making it impossible for them to be in housing, to buy a house at some point. Deal with your ideology, get that under control, make energy affordable, figure out how you can get your hands out of the mix of everything. The people of Colorado know much better than this body does. And every time you create something like this, you create more of a need for the people of Colorado to come to the nanny state and ask for permission. Always coming to ask for permission, because Colorado is not allowed to act without permission from the nanny state. So just try to trust the people of Colorado a little bit. A little bit. If you want people to be in housing, stop making it unaffordable. This makes housing less affordable. This will make buildings less affordable. Maybe they're a good idea. Buildings and the localities, they can figure this out. Writing a blank check to to sign on to International Building Code, what we don't even know. We don't know what International Building Code is going to be. Some of the International Building Code is probably intended in here, just eliminating the second stairwell for egress. Now, some people say that works great, but probably not those that are caught in a fire. But this, I can see where this would be part of that, because it's a building code. It's an accessibility issue, a stairwell. Or you move IBC to something else. And then you just continue pulling, you just continue and continue and continue pulling the responsibility of the local government, the accountable local government, into the purview of the nanny state. It's a bad idea. Trust the people of Colorado. Vote no on this bill. Save Colorado some money. Rein in your good intentions a little bit. And if you want to fund this, take it to the budget. Put it as a line item in the budget. I noticed that there's not such a commitment to this that the state is willing to fund it, but the state is willing to impose it. You could fund this out of a lot of your other good intentions. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on green ideology, but you want to make things more expensive here. Rein in your wish list, but you're going to make housing more unaffordable, which I can't at this point say is an unintended consequence. If the outcome is evident, the intent is inferred.
Representative Woog.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was here a few years back, and there were different issues that we kept seeing over and over again, and I'm seeing this issue more than ever this year, that local control is being totally obliterated. And this is really just another instance of Denver decides, communities pay. So I urge a no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. been told many times that when it comes to public policy, there's no answers, only trades. And unfortunately, I think this bill doesn't even attempt to make a trade. It does go full in to support accessibility, which is important. But so is the cost that Coloradans face. The cost of living is too high. The cost of everything is too high, and it's especially true in terms of housing. Over the last few years, a number of bills have become law that, while they've been absolutely well-meaning, they've added to the cost of housing at the same time we say we're trying to reduce the cost of housing. This bill requires local governments, I was a county commissioner for 8 years. I admit, when we did updates to building codes, we looked at International Building Code as a base, and then we modified that. We made adjustments that fit our local communities. This would not allow that. It requires the adoption of potentially future changes to the International Building Code. They're not even written yet, but we're committing our state and our local governments to adopting them. I don't think that we need to ignore and should not ignore the importance of accessibility, but there are ways to get at this smartly. The Assistant Majority Leader talked about, if 1 in 100 units had this impact. That's something that should be talked about. But this bill just doesn't get around the fact that no matter how accessible the interior of your home is, if you can't afford to buy it or rent it, it doesn't matter what's inside or how it's laid out. The bill requires, as I said, the future adoption of unwritten international standards, forcing 2 unknowns down the throats of local governments. It states specifically that local governments must adopt these at a cost that they're not going to be reimbursed for. The people of our cities and our counties are going to pay for that. And then the people buying the homes that may not need these changes will buy that. It says that you must adopt these if there's substantial changes, and then it highlights something that they claim to be insubstantial. It calls out the energy efficiency codes, saying these are not to be considered substantial changes. But this non-substantial change adds 40% to the cost of wiring a new home. That's hardly insubstantial. I had hoped that the amendments considered today would address these potential costs, but they haven't. So I now hold the same position I did in committee. I do oppose the bill, not because I don't want to see those with disabilities not to have access, but I want every Coloradan to have access to a home, to be able to rent or buy. With all due respect to the sponsors, I do believe the bill was brought forward with the best intents, but it does add costs to everything. Had a conversation with my daughter on Friday evening. She's in a very committed relationship. I think it's going to head towards marriage. Probably in the next year, there'll be an announcement of engagement. She's worried about her and her boyfriend being able to afford a home. Frankly, her only choice right now, from the way she sees it, is to inherit the home that my wife and I live in. She shouldn't have to wait for us to die to afford a home. So I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make sure that everybody caught that about adding 40% to the price of a new home, or to the price of a home by the energy efficiency standards that are not addressed here, and that are considered wafer thin and not substantial. Those wafers add up, and 40% is a pretty big wafer. Now, it's not too long ago that I had to price out furnaces, and I was really kind of shocked when the installer priced me an 80% efficiency furnace, and I thought, well, I would like to get a higher efficiency furnace. Well, the higher efficiency furnace stopped at 96%, which I thought was interesting, up to 96%. And when I looked into the benefits of the small rebate that you would get for a high efficiency furnace.
Representative DeGraff, I appreciate your comments here, but we are talking about this particular bill, which is on building codes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But we're talking about the bill does reference energy standards. And it considers energy standards to be not a significant cost. Well, when I priced 80% efficiency furnaces, and I priced 96% efficiency furnaces, and notice that the legislation blocked any rebates by making the rebates for 97% efficiency furnaces. I looked at the total cost of how much I spend on natural gas. I looked at the total cost of how much that would change if I had a 96% efficiency furnace, and I looked at the difference in the cost.
I'm sorry,
because we
Representative
are
Graff.
talking about energy standards.
This is about an accessibility standards. The bill is about international building codes
It does
related to
reference it.
accessibility standards. So if you have comments related to that, I would encourage you to continue.
My colleague just pointed out where it said that it doesn't consider the energy efficiency standards, so the bill does mention energy efficiency standards. Now, I'm not sure why it would consider, why it would discuss energy efficiency standards if it does not deal with energy efficiency standards. So I'm giving an example of how these bills add up. So you create a standard, or somebody in Europe creates a standard, which we may or may not have a say in. I'm not sure who writes all the international building code, what goes into it, what the ideology that goes into it, but it would take, I figured it would take long. It would take at least twice the life of the furnace in order to pay off the difference. Yet somebody in this building who has no idea how energy works will impose that sort of restriction and say, well, we just consider it insubstantial. Well, we just consider the cost of accessibility standards to be insubstantial. We're not going to pay for them. We're going to force somebody else to pay for them. If you really want these accessible standards, create a bill that says the state is going to pay the additional cost for that. But then you say, well, we don't have the money for it. Colorado doesn't have the money for it. Colorado does not have the money to pony up another $30,000 for a house, for every single house. So the purpose of talking about energy standards, well, one, because the energy is not a problem. We have the energy, it's in the ground. We could raise all kinds of money with severance tax, but we don't. Instead, we jack up the price by creating more pollution with the green stuff, that you pay more for, which makes houses unaffordable, and then we try to address it by telling people to pay more money to make houses more affordable. There is nothing logical about this bill. There is nothing logical about how the math works in this bill. There's nothing logical about what this accomplishes for the people of Colorado. This is the nanny state stepping way outside of the bounds of its area of expertise because it makes you feel good. And when I say the nanny state, I mean you. In the military, maybe it's not every place else, but there is a definite idea that you need to stay in your lane. This is definitely an area where the legislature needs to stay in its lane. It needs to not be legislating on behalf of somebody, somewhere. Yes, we would love to have all houses be accessible. That is not cost effective. It's not a matter of not caring, it's a matter of trying to put roofs over people's heads. We want to put roofs over people's heads, and then you make roofs over people's heads to be cost prohibitive. Stop doing that. Make codes that, with a lot of houses can be made accessible with a ramp. Not ideal, but it can be done. But you can't just add $30,000 to the price of a home and impose that on every building, or however, a building is going to be more. We talked about this last year with accessible building, making everything accessible. Cost $750,000 to renovate a bathroom. So what that would mean is that you're not going to renovate. You're not going to fix, you're not going to repair, you're going to let everything go into disrepair because nobody has that kind of money. But why look at the downstream effect and the unintended consequences? Because right now this makes us feel good. And Nanny State knows best.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of 1030. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1030 passes. As amended. As amended by the sponsors. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to 1070, House Bill 1070.
House Bill 1070 by Representative Bradfield, also Senator Michelson Janae, concerning the conditions when electroconvulsive treatment may be performed on a minor.
Representative Bradfield. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move House Bill 1070 and the Health and Human Services Committee report.
To the committee report.
In committee, we did not get all of the changes that we wanted or needed. And because of that, I ask you to vote no on the committee report. And we do have an amendment, and I would like to bring that to the bill.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor of the committee report say aye. All those opposed to the committee report say no.
No.
The noes have it. The committee report is lost. To the bill.
Thank you. Okay. In 2024, we had a bill come before you folks here about electroconvulsive therapy. That bill was enacted, and we want to thank you very much. However, that bill had some serious restrictions, and in fact, it only took care of one chronic condition. Electroconvulsive therapy is the last resort for some of our very ill young people, adults, and it is their last resort. Nothing else has worked up to that point. And so we appreciate what happened in 2024. Our bill here today, 1070, takes it a bit further.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Ryden. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As part of this, what we're bringing forward to you today, included in this bill is allowing electroconvulsive treatment for people under the age of 16 and applying it to beyond malignant catatonia. So we know this can treat PTSD, it could treat some psychotic disorders, and like my colleague, Representative Bradfield said, it also can be that last line of resort when the treatment team and the family doesn't know what else to do. We have some amendments we'll talk about shortly, but I encourage you to vote for this new legislation.
Is there further discussion on the bill? Representative Bradfield. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Amendment 003 to House Bill 1070 and have it displayed.
Thank you, Rep. Bradfield. Give us a second. Thank you.
Now, can I get recognized and then? Okay. As soon as, okay.
It is displayed. Please proceed.
Okay, I can go. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to explain what this amendment does. First,
Rep. Ryden, sorry. Go ahead.
okay, thank you. First, this amendment includes a provision that one of the two psychiatrists or physicians that sign off on this treatment, one of them needs to be an adolescent and child psychiatrist. Another amendment is that we are adding legal custodian instead of guardian ad litem. Again, this was a result of some stakeholding work. And then the third is a compromise. It's with concerns about, we've heard some concerns about parental rights. We're striking the objection for minors. I want to just say, as a practicing mental health clinician myself, I know that there's already some best practices in place to manage and protect objections for minors, so I'm okay with this amendment, as are several of the consumer rights organizations who we stakeholdered this with, and so I urge a yay on this amendment and on this bill.
Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to thank the bill sponsors. Representative Bradfield, one of the sponsors, spent a lot of time with me as we work through the parental rights issue and making sure that we protected the parent's right and that the child could not override the parent. That's really important to our caucus, but is also really important to me as a parent that has a child with a rare genetic disorder, making sure I can still make those decisions. And so I really appreciate the sponsors for being able to work on this amendment and getting this bill into a much better place. So thank you, and I support the amendment and urge an aye vote.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also want to commend the bill sponsors. This is good governance. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for listening to our side of the aisle and getting these kids the time and life-saving treatment that they need. We listened to so many parents begging our legislative body to get these kids this treatment, and I'm so proud of the work that you did. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for coming to the table. Thank you for listening to the parents that came to testify. I appreciate both of you so much, and I am wholeheartedly in support of this amendment, wholeheartedly in support of this bill, and I think it's going to help the children in Colorado get the treatment they need, so thank you.
Further discussion on House Bill 10, or on Amendment L003? Seeing none. The question before us is the passage of L003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L003 is adopted. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1070. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1070 is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1030 as amended, 1070 as amended, and 1091 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Representative Brown. Members, you've heard the motion. We do have an amendment at the desk. Mr. Shebel, please read the Sukla amendment to House Bill 1030, the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Sukla moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Sukla amendment L4 to House Bill 1030 to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1030 as amended passed.
Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. I move the Sukla amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be properly displayed.
Representative Sukla, that was the best made motion of a cow amendment so far this session. Thank you. It was perfect. It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
I just want to say this. We all want accessibility. We all want affordable housing. Right now, there is no such thing as affordable housing. It's subsidized housing. That's what we have in Colorado. Go with this amendment, and let's start turning it around to where we can create affordable housing for everybody. Thank you. And can I ask for an aye vote?
Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Like I said earlier, many of the issues in this amendment were resolved with a previous amendment, and I ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Sukla amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Ricks votes no. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Luck votes yes. Representative Byrd, $4 fine. She is excused. Please close the machine. With 22 aye, 40 no, and 3 excused, the amendment is lost. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
Oh.
Representative Luck, did you vote no?
Yes, no.
Thank you. Representative Luck votes no. Please close the machine. With 41 aye, 22 no, and 2 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Representative Byrd, that was a $4 fine. And I think Assistant Minority Leader Winter wondered when we'd start raising those fines. We have a long time in session, don't you worry. All right, members, announcements and introductions. We'll do it in a minute. Sure, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar to Wednesday, February 5th, 2025.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over until tomorrow. Now, Representative Mabry, announcements and introductions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of Judiciary Committee, we will be meeting at 1:30 in room 107. We will be hearing 2 bills, House Bill 1104, House Bill 1138. House Bill 1116 is on the calendar, but we're going to lay that over and hear it at another time. So we're just hearing those first 2 bills. See you at 1:30.
Thank you. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
Today we had students and staff from Goal High School. Goal is a flexible charter school that offers online curriculum with in-person support services at 39 locations statewide. And we had 39 students here on the House floor this morning. So Goal offers concurrent enrollment, career and technical education, and wraparound services to help each and every student succeed. And it was a great honor to see them getting engaged in civics and being here under their state capitol. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, the Health and Human Services Committee will meet at 1:30 in room 112 downstairs. We will hear House Bill 1027. Be there or be square. I can't say HHSU there, but the JBC would say something like that. So anyway.
Representative Armagast.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So today is Greeley Day at the Capitol. We are joined this morning by Greeley Mayor John Gates, members of the Greeley City Council, City Manager Raymond Lee, and staff. Joining us also is the University of Northern Colorado, Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, Ames Community College, Greeley Downtown Development Authority, and Greeley Evans School District. Each year, the City of Greeley and community partners host a day at the Capitol to share the great happenings going on across the city and advocate for legislation. Please join me in welcoming our guests today that are here on the House floor and in the gallery.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to say, go Bears. I know a lot of you are CU buffs here, but my loyalty remains high to the Bears. So UNC all the way, go Bears.
Excellent. Representative Titone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, come join us for Joint Technology Committee up in the Senate Committee Room 357. We're going to do prioritization of IT systems coming 8 o'clock.
Representative Hamrick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to draw your attention to a bunch of students, 96 to be exact, from Woodland Elementary School in the Cherry Creek School District. They're coming around, learning about government, so please say hi when you see them in the halls.
Thank you. Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You're playing with us. Who here cares about water in Colorado? Better see all the hands up. So tomorrow, everyone is invited, including the Senate, to a legislative water workshop between noon and 1 o'clock, Senate Committee Room 352. This is a great opportunity to learn about what Prop JJ was all about, how we are going to fund water projects. We're going to have an introduction from Water Education Colorado. They are great about not only educating the people of Colorado on water, but us here in the legislature. We're going to hear from Colorado Water Congress, Colorado Water Conservation Board, all about severance tax funds. So I encourage each and every one of you to come by, even if you can come for a little bit. They will have some snacks and coffee. I don't know if that means lunch, but Senate Room 352 tomorrow, learn about water, noon to 1 o'clock.
Representative Joseph. And Representative Bradley.
Don't mess with me. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today's announcement, we are doing, this session we're taking on a project like none other. As you all may know, there are over 6,500 people within Denver that are experiencing homelessness. We see it coming into work, we see it on the news, and we hear it from our constituents. So this session, we are planning a donation drive to help those in need. We will be donating to Haven of Hope, a day shelter in Denver whose mission is but one thing. We are here to serve, not to judge. Haven of Hope offers services such as addiction support, mental health services, dental care, medical care, and optical care. Each program they offer is designed to restore hope and dignity and to ensure those who need help on a human level rather than treating them as statistics.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You have all received paper bags, not plastic, but paper bags on your desks. The King Soopers bags, we ask that you fill those with toiletries, socks, and small necessities for donation. You can fill them up and return them to Rep. Joseph's office. We're going to be having a contest. So my caucus, get those bags full. I know there's a lot of men in my caucus. If you need help with that, see me. But there are people in need, and let's get them some help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Representative Joseph, did you have another announcement? Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I just wanted to remind you the Clean Air Task Force is having a luncheon today, a lunch and learn. So if you would like to learn more about the pragmatic and durable climate solutions for Colorado, please come by. This is a nonpartisan lunch, and we all care about the climate. All are welcomes. Also, your aides are welcome. It's from 12 to 1 in SSB 603. Please come by and learn together. Again, this is a nonpartisan lunch and learn. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Representative Weinberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 75th General Assembly, again, you'll kind of get this drill home every single day for a couple of weeks until Valentine's Day. Follow these simple instructions. There's an envelope and a Valentine's card on my desk. If you go by the desk in the box, you grab the card, write whatever you want to your sweetheart, put it in the envelope, put an address on it, and put it back in the box. It'll come from Loveland. It's a good tradition. Please continue it. And if you have any questions, come and find me. Go Loveland.
Thank you. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I do have an announcement. Members, we have received some reports from our viewers and fans on YouTube, and I'm serious here, and those tuning in around the building that several of our new legislators and a few of our returning legislators are too quiet on the mic. So when speaking in the well, please do not be afraid to get nice and close to the microphone. This will ensure our constituents and everyone in the room hears us nice and loud. Did you hear me? Oh, I know. You could do the training.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
The House will stand in recess until later today.